Of Taking Back Your Body theme song, performed by Allie.
I talk. Would you like to know where your lettuce really grows? Come on down to the farmhouse down the street. It starts with the farmer, and the farmer plants the seed. And when we all pitch into the local bin, we get more what we need. Oh, oh, taking back your body, be the hand that feeds. Taking back your body, veggies rich and green. Oh, oh, taking back your body, doing what we might. So take back your body and fight the local fight.
Hi, welcome back to Taking Back Your Body. I am Andrew, and today we're featuring the Porter's Cheese Farm in Argyle, New York.
I'm Liza Porter. I'm a farmer and a cheesemaker, and I have goats and chickens right now, although during the summer we have more animals.
And we are working with 3 of their cheeses today. We've got a goat's milk Parmesan, cow's milk High Rock is what they call it, and then a kind of creamy fromage blanc. And today we're also going to be talking about processed foods. So that's a word that you hear a lot, processed foods, they're good, they're bad, whatever, they mean something. And that's another word that kind of gets lost in translation. A lot of people don't know what that means. So what I've done is here, I've separated my ingredients into the unprocessed and the processed. Everything to the left, perhaps your right, of the leeks are processed. Everything to this side are unprocessed. Now, I've got quite an array of foods here. What processed means basically is a foodstuff that has had value added to it, or a value-added foodstuff. That can be anything such as cheese. Cheese comes from milk. It undergoes a process. They do something and make milk into cheese, and that not only makes it processed, but it also increases the price because you're paying for the labor of making cheese. Now, this shallot, which is from the Kilpatrick's farm, no human intervention has come to this shallot. It's just grown and made, and that's what you call a whole food, when it's just coming from the ground and nothing's really happening to it. But there's kind of 2 different schools of processed foods, if you will. Cheese and maple syrup would actually, yes, it's processed. You get sap from a tree and boil down the sap to make maple syrup. So, syrup and cheese and things of that nature are processed, but not necessarily bad for you. Now there's other processed foods like easy cheese and Twinkies that are a little bit different than regular cheese and maple syrup, and we're going to explore that a little bit today. So I'm going to get started cooking, and I forgot to mention what we're making today. We're making cheese ravioli over spinach, shallot, and leek mixture with some tamari roasted almonds. So what I've done in advance is I've grated up some of the cheese. I've got one High Rock and 1 Parmesan in here. And it takes a really long time to grate cheese, so I did most of that in advance, but I'll do a little bit more just in case you don't know what it looks like when cheese is grated. So I'm doing this, and here's the Parmesan cheese. Now, cheese also is something that personally, I didn't know really what cheese was until yesterday when I talked to the person who makes this cheese. And perhaps you don't either. And cheese is basically milk from any animal, and then you acidify it, and that basically curdles it and makes it solid and separates into hard parts and liquid parts, and then that's cheese. That's a very simple cheese. Probably wouldn't taste great, but there's all kinds of complicated things you can do to make it into a Parmesan or a feta, whatever. But that is what cheese is. All right, so I've grated up some more cheese with my cheese grater. It's very handy for that. You really can't substitute the cheese grater for anything in the kitchen. It's a good one to have. So put it in with the other cheese, and then I'm going to use, this is going to be the filling for my ravioli if you hadn't figured that one out. I'm going to use some of this fromage blanc, which is really, I think it doesn't have much flavor on its own, but it's just, you know, cheesy, and you can make it into, you can use it in savory dishes, sweet dishes. It's really a very versatile cheese. And then I've got all my cheeses together here, and you can mix it, but that's kind of inefficient. So with clean hands, just kind of mush it all together, and this is gonna make a good filling for the ravioli. So while I'm mushing, there are a lot of benefits and drawbacks of processing foods. Processing is basically came about because people were trying to figure out ways to basically preserve food longer so that you can eat it at times when food was not particularly fresh. You know, canning, pickling, things like that are methods of processing foods, and those are very beneficial, especially in places like New York in the wintertime when you can, in the summertime when foods are very abundant, you can can them, pickle them, make jams, and then have those foods throughout the winter. But basically, some, like, with Easy Cheese, for example, is a product of a lot of very, very small parts of different foods that have been broken down, chemically extracted, synthesized, put with other chemicals from other things, and then made into this kind of Frankenstein food that resembles cheese and has been chemically altered to taste like cheese. And that involves, you know, all these big companies that have, you know, I talked about verticalization, so they've got different operations going on in different places that take care of growing and then processing and then, you know, coming into different places. So that involves a lot of middlemen, which you have to pay. And so a lot of the money that you spend on processed foods is going to those companies, corporations, instead of to the farmers. And that's just one reason why avoiding heavily processed foods is better for kind of your food system in general. Now I'm going to chop some of my shallots. So my shallots are chopped. I used two sizable shallots, and I got a little bit of stinginess going on. I'm just going to put them into a pan with heat and some garlic oil that I made. It's really simple to make. You take garlic, chop it up, put it in a jar, put some oil in, and let it sit. And then you've got really tasty garlic oil. It just kind of sits and simmers. And so shallots go in there. You can put a little salt in, but I'm not going to. And just, you cook them just the same as you would onions. They're going to soften and brown and, you know, just make everyone happy. And the next order of business is to chop my leeks. This is a leek. It's a vegetable, and you can, the most common usage is probably potato leek soup. You can also just basically use it like an onion or a shallot, and that's what I'm going to do. Make a mixture, give the dish a little bit of depth. And I usually use up to the green part. So leek is chopped, and the leek is going in with the shallot. And they're going to party for a while in the oil and get nice and moist. Next order of business is going to be to make some ravioli. And I've got these wonton wraps, which are also great for ravioli. It says it on the package, so you know you can use it for that. And it's really, really simple to make this. You know, you saw you saw this being made, but I forgot to put in basil and tarragon, which are just gonna, you know, spice it up. Just, you know, throw some in. If you really want a measurement, you could put in a teaspoon of basil and a teaspoon and a half of tarragon. So then again, just mush. mush it all around. We just had a dance party last night, so I'm kind of in a dancing mood. Maybe I'll dance a little bit while I'm mushing. That's it. So, again, wonton wrappers. It's not easy with cheesy hands, but very simple. You take one wonton wrapper. I'm sorry, ravioli wrapper. Ravioli skin. Put it on your cutting board. Take a cup of water, or a bowl, as I have here. Put a finger in, and then just go around the edges. You just want to get a little bit wet. You don't need to douse it. You don't want to under-wet it, but just go around the edges, like that, and then take a bit of the cheese mixture, put it right in the middle. Maybe a bit much. It's easy to overfill these, and then it doesn't close well. But just then come up to the top, like that. Squeeze it closed. And you've got a ravioli. So what I'm actually going to do is ask my guest today to come out here and help me make some of these, because it takes a while, and 2 hands is better than 1. Or 4 hands are better than 2 in this case. So this is Peter. He's going to be our Sioux ravioli maker. All right, so we got all of our ravioli made, thanks to Peter. And now, ooh, I should have turned on, you want to just kind of get your water boiling before, which I didn't do, so that once you're done making them, you can just toss the ravioli right in here. The shallots and leeks have been going for a while now, and they're pretty much done, so those are basically just going to go in with the spinach and almonds, and then that's going to be a sort of base layer for the ravioli. Now, the next thing that I will do, I will start to make my parfaits, which is the second course of our meal today. We're going a little lighter on the dishes.
Actually, in Saratoga, we're greatly blessed by being able to have a 40-mile diet or a 30-mile diet, because we have all of the farmers at the farmers market all live within 40 miles of the market.
For the parfaits, I'm doing 2 things out of the ordinary. I'm going to further process 2 items. So I've got my 2 bowls, and then I've got another, I don't know what this is, tin of the fromage blanc. So there you saw it going into savory dish. This one's going into sweet. Yeah, I'm going to use a bigger bowl for this guy, and perhaps a bit more. Just dump it in like that. I'm going to use 1.5 cartons of this. Basically what we're going to do is sweeten it up with some maple syrup. Now, this maple syrup came from Merck Forest, which is about an hour-and-a-half away in Vermont. So it's real local, organic, you know, the works, just really good stuff. And maple syrup is a great sweetener. And it's also gonna, because it's liquid rather than granulated, it's also gonna kind of make this cheese, which is pretty hard, a little bit less hard. So just put a bit in. You can really change it to your taste. Just use a spoon, kind of incorporate it, mush it together, make it sweet. So I'm gonna mush it. And now, I talked a bit about the kind of corporate influence in processed foods. And that is a big one in you know, the money. And you can also think about it that you've got all of these different things coming from different places. One of the major players in nearly all of processed food is high fructose corn syrup, and HFCS, you know, whatever. And that is a byproduct of corn, as it suggests. It is this very complicated process in which an ear of corn is taken to a processing plant, broken down into 1 million pieces into its sugars, and then kind of reconstituted into a lot of different substances, one of which is corn syrup. Now, the reason that corn syrup is supposedly bad, it's mostly a health thing, but that's another tangent. I was thinking about pulling all these different parts together, and it's almost like transportation. You know, those processes require a lot of energy, a lot of non-renewable resources that are being pumped in to make this other product, whereas you can have this cheese for no energetic cost, other than labor.
Our chickens, our cheese, the cheese from the other cheese makers that take such care with their animals, and the produce, vendors who, just spend all their time thinking about how to bring you a better product. It's just amazing.
So I'm going to put a little more maple syrup in here. So getting on to, I suppose, the health aspects. I mentioned that high fructose corn syrup is present in a lot of processed foods, and I would be willing to bet that it's in all three of those. Your Easy Cheese Twinkies and Cheese Doodles, some of the classics. So this is sweetened now with maple syrup, and that's pretty much good to go. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a just basically I'm going to take peanut butter, add maple syrup and raisins, and it's going to I really like that combination. The peanut butter and maple complement each other really well and just make a really, really tasty, I guess, sauce you could call it. So just take some peanut butter, put it in there, add some more of our maple syrup, and then some raisins from Four Seasons, also in bulk. So there's a big wall of nuts and fruits over to the side next to the bulk section. You just mix this together, and it's a really, really tasty, sauce to put on basically anything you want that you want to taste good. So those are our two, I guess, processed ingredients for the parfaits. Now I'm going to check on the water. Not quite boiling. And so after you boil the ravioli briefly, you just want to cook. They don't take long to cook at all. The pasta is very thin, and the cheese is gonna, melt like that. So after they're boiled briefly, we're gonna saute them in some earth balance, which is just margarine. Some earth balance with the basil and tarragon, which is inside of those. So turn the fire on. Put in a tablespoon of earth balance. And then another, say, a teaspoon of each of these guys, or if you want less definite proportions, about that much. So turn that down, let it incorporate a bit. Oh, one more thing is that I've got some tamari roasted almonds, which are just out of this world. Also from Four Seasons, same section as the raisins. Tamari is kind of like soy sauce. I don't know how they make them tamari roasted, but they're just perfect. And this is a lot easier with a sharp knife, which I have. But you can do it with a duller knife. It's just they kind of explode when you try to cut them. Half a cup of almonds, three quarters of a cup, in that ballpark area, and then just kind of cut them up, chop them up roughly. Anyway, high fructose corn syrup and processed foods, here they're bad for you a lot. And one of the main reasons for that is that they contain a lot of calories, not to mention a lot of sodium to bring out flavors, but they contain a lot of calories. And not just that, they contain a lot of calories without other nutrients, other parts of the food, because those calories, generally in the form of corn syrup, have been extracted from the whole food. You could take a lot of sugar, which is what corn syrup is, take a lot of sugar out of this apple and isolate it, but then you wouldn't have everything else in the apple that is of nutritive quality. So you extract corn syrup, you extract things and then recombine them, and say in Easy Cheese, you just have a lot of calories without other nutrients, and that goes along with other parts of the fruit. So an apple has a lot of fiber, or whole foods have fiber, and that's what makes you full. So when you're extracting the sugars and other things that have become to be bad in the public eye, then you're just eating a lot more of those than are necessary and are naturally found in foods.
I worked in family medicine. I was a physician assistant for 28 years. And, I lived through this whole obesity process that's going on and the whole diabetes and heart disease and all the stuff that's happening to people. And so much misery is being caused by people just turning their backs on the need to eat good food. It's what your mothers what mothers tell people, but it really is true.
Okay, so my almonds are chopped, and I'm hoping that the water's boiling now so that I can get my ravioli going. Not quite. So we're waiting for the water to boil, and I'm making cheese ravioli with all this other junk. And I was picking up the ravioli wrappers today when I walked through the frozen food section, and I found something interesting. Michelina's Authentico cheese ravioli and Alfredo sauce. So obviously it's very classy because it has a potentially Italian word on the cover. So look, you saw me cooking it. The ingredients for this meal so far is not done are pasta, 3 kinds of cheese from a farm, which you have already seen the farmer and the farm, and then shallots, leeks, and spinach, all from this area. I'm going to read you the several ingredients for Michelina's Authentico cheese ravioli and Alfredo sauce. Cheese ravioli, pasta, enriched durum flour, niacin, ferrous sulfate, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid, water, dough stabilizer, yellow corn flour, soybean oil, artificial color. Filling, part skim ricotta, pasteurized whey, skim milk, salt, vinegar. Whole milk ricotta, pasteurized whole milk, vinegar, salt, carrageenan, water, salt, Romano cheese, sheep's milk, rennet, salt, enzymes, modified food starch, spices, parsley. Half and half, milk and cream. Water, broccoli, Parmesan cheese, pasteurized skim milk, cultures, salt, enzyme. This is where it gets good. Less than 2% of the following. Margarine, liquid and partially hydrogenated soybean oil. Water, salt, whey solids and/or soy lecithin, vegetable mono and diglycerides, BHA and BHT added to protect flavor. Vitamin A palmitate and vitamin D3 added. Artificial flavor. Cheddar cheese. Pasteurized milk, cheese cultures, salt, enzymes. Cheese flavor. Enzyme modified cheese and butter. Cheddar cheese, milk, cheese culture, salt, enzymes, butter, cheese culture, enzymes. Whey, buttermilk solids, salt, sodium phosphate, lactic acid. Modified food starch, salt, cheese flavor, again. Granular and Parmesan cheese, pasteurized milk, cheese cultures, salt, enzymes, water, salt, lactic acids, and citric acid. Romano cheese, pasteurized part skim cow's milk, cheese culture, salt, enzymes, cellulose powder. Spices, non-fat dry milk, lactose, vitamin A palmate and vitamin D3, xanthan gum and disodium phosphate.
I can remember, we went to Yellowstone probably about 10 or 15 years ago with our son, and we were driving up over this gorgeous pass behind another car, and this car stopped. There were some mountain goats came right down to the road, and this car stopped and tried to. They were holding out something in their hand to lure these goats out so that they could get them close to the car. But the goats said no way, And so the car drove on, and when we drove up, there were cheese doodles.
Now, if you're wondering what some of the more ambiguous terms on there were, such as cheese flavor, spices, and other things of the nature, those are these kind of Frankenstein chemicals that chemical companies dream up, and the kind of regulations on naming these things are basically in the hands of the companies, but that's another issue entirely. They can name them very. The names are open to interpretation, so an unknowing reader of spices might think that is actually a spice that they put in, but no, if it was tarragon, it would say tarragon, not spices. It's just all kind of semantics. So when the time comes, I'm gonna offer this to my guest as well, and he will have the option to choose Michelino's Authentico cheese ravioli and Alfredo sauce, or this meal. So my water's boiling. And just drop the ravioli in, gently, ever so gently. Swoop. All right, and then you let those boil for about 4 or 5 minutes. Like I said, does not take very long at all. And oh, my butter is infused. So I turned off the shallot and leek mixture. This is what it looks like right now. It's gonna have spinach and almonds added to it, and then the ravioli is gonna go on top of that. And now I'm gonna assemble some parfait. Ah, but I have to chop one more thing, which is my Saratoga apple. And I'm gonna dice this. So again, the coring method that we all learned last show. To assemble a parfait, we have a very, very specific method, which I learned back in college. So I'm gonna take my 4 beautiful glasses. For a parfait, it is necessary to have pretty glasses, perhaps even prettier than these, and also clear glass, so that you can see the layers. I've got 4 kinds of granola here from Four Seasons, the bulk section. They've got, I don't know, 12 different varieties there. These were just a few that I picked out. Now, I've got a raspberry, ginger, French vanilla, and something with blueberries. And I'm just gonna kind of throw together some various combinations. Really, you can do whatever you want, whatever pleases you. And I've also got some dried fruit here. I've got, let's see, raisins, cranberries, apricots, and blueberries. Now, the miracle of processing.
You get to know people pretty well, and it makes it a happy thing to be generous. It's really fun. That's one of the really fun things about the market.
Now I'm also going to put the spinach in with my shallot and leek mixture. So these guys have been washed, and just going to throw it in. Really just want to warm the spinach. You don't need to cook it down too much, really. And as we learned, this spinach doesn't really cook down that much because it's so damn spinachy. And I probably put about a ½ pound in. So I'm gonna take the top off of him and put it onto her. For the first parfait, I'm going to take some of this French vanilla granola and throw it into the bottom of the cup. Then I'll take some of this, what are you called? Some fromage blanc, my maple sweetened fromage blanc, and put it right on top of that. And just kind of press it down. Put a touch more. And then I'll do cranberries here. These cranberries are really good. Next, I'm gonna do some of this ginger granola, but not too much. And then a bit of the maple peanut raisin stuff. And then I will finish it off with some blueberries and fresh apple. And as always, presentation is key. So there's our first parfait. The next three I'll kind of modify slightly, but that's your general formula. Throwing on the butter mixture again. I think the ravioli are just about done. And so I'm going to either strain them or use this nifty little slotted guy that I've got here, and I'm just going to throw them right into with the butter. I'm going to try this first, see if it works, which it is. So yeah, just scoop and plop. That's what they say in the Culinary Institute of America. Scoop and plop. And I'm actually going to pour a little bit of this water in as well, and that's going to just give it. Woo. Then I'm going to turn that up, let the water evaporate off, and then it will be a kind of cheesy sauce. You can turn this off. And, oh no, my spinach are sticking to the top of my thing. Just sort of mix it around, incorporate those shallots and stuff into the spinach. And so he's bubbling away. He is, you know, moderately ready. And that's basically the entree, if you will. Just let this guy reduce down a bit more, and then plate it up. Oh, but first, the last step to the spinach dish is going to be to put the almonds in. And I'm just going to scoop them off here because this board is big and honky. Just throw the almonds in right in there. And oh, it will be a fiesta. I'm going to throw a touch more oil in just to give it a little bit more moisture. You don't want this to burn because it won't be as good. Entree is just about done. The dessert is pretty much ready. Now, you know, we've been talking about processed foods, and that's a lot of what you're seeing in the grocery store. So this week, I couldn't decide between two books, so I just decided to bring them both. And they deal with very similar topics. And the first is titled What to Eat by Mary Nestle, and this is a beautifully written book, not really a linear story, but rather she uses the structure of a supermarket to go through and kind of demystify every food or food set in the supermarket. So if you ever, you know, you got all these questions, check it out if you wondered about a food. The second is Michael Pollan's newest book, In Defense of Food. He goes through and basically just talks about what our food system has become now from a consumer's kind of psychological perspective, the way in which the industry tries to trick us with their kind of marketing and what our eating habits have become. Anyhow, they're both very, very good reads, and I would strongly recommend them both. Oh, this smells delicious, and this guy's done as well. So I'm going to plate up some of this food for you. So we've prepared this lovely meal from great ingredients, and it's likely going to be very tasty. What I think a lot of people tend to forget is just to really appreciate their food and think about where it has come from. And you know, that's what this show is about, showing you where food is coming from and how to prepare it, and just I hope a sense of, you know, love that's going into the food. And I'm going to ask my guest Peter here today to, and also I'd like to ask you whether or not you create this meal next time you sit down to a meal. Just before you have your food, before you know, go into it, just take a second, close your eyes, and think about what you're about to put into your body and how it got there. And if it's worth appreciating, then appreciate it. And the last order of business here will be to present an alternative meal to my guest, which will be these two guys. So, Peter, it's up to you.
Thank you, Chef.
All right. Well, stay again. John, this one will be for you.
Would you like to know where your lettuce really grows? Come on down to the farmhouse down the street. It starts with the farmer, and the farmer plants a seed. And when we all pitch into the local bin, we get more what we need. Oh, oh, taking back your body. Be the hand that feeds. Taking back your body. Veggies rich and green. Oh,